Yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, tankers of Blitz Universe, to the channel. Pravda or Berlin? What you gonna do? What you gonna choose? Make up your mind. The decision is yours. And the decision is, well, very clear. Which of the two premium IS-2 tanks do you want to get? Or should I say that the question is very clear. The decision maybe not so much, because on the face of it, these tanks are pretty much the same, near on exactly the same. This is an IS-2. You have that machine gun port at the back, cupola on the top left of the turret, 122mm gun, 175 penetration base, 400 alpha, and that's what the IS-2 9045 or IS-2 Berlin also gets. So yes, in that regard, it's kind of like comparing apples and apples. I mean, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. If it looks like an apple and it shines like an apple, and when it cracks when you bite on it like an apple, then it's probably an apple. We're not comparing a premium Tiger to an IS-2. That will be comparing apples and oranges. We're comparing apples and apples here, or oranges and oranges. That could be another thing, but they're basically pretty much the same tank. But I wouldn't be making this video if there weren't some really small key differences. Because the IS-2 Pravda SP is an IS-2, the IS-2 9045 is an IS-2, but there are some differences in the armor profile, mostly. When you're taking a look at both of these tanks, you're going to look at, for example, the gun, DPM, penetration, alpha, rate of fire, all that is the same. The Pravda has a D25 TG gun, the 9045, the Berlin version, gets a D25T. Exactly the same, they both fire AP, APCR, the penetration values are the same, 217 on APCR, 175 on AP, I already mentioned that. That's exactly the same. Weapon handling then, any changes there? No. None whatsoever. Long aim time, bad dispersion. You really have to let this gun aim, and then you can do 400 alpha per shot. You have 6 degrees of gun depression and 25 on gun elevation, so it's not a KV1S/KV1S Thunder thingy where the premium tank, the new premium tank, is significantly better in one certain regard. That's not the case at all. But yes, is there all the differences there, Martin? You said there were key differences. There were some very solid differences. Yes, a lot of differences. Because, for example, the reverse speed on the Pravda is 2 kilometers more per hour. It's a little thing, I admit, but it's 2 kilometers more. The Pravda reverses better than the 9045/Berlin tank. On the other hand, however, the Pravda has slightly better power to weight ratio, but has less effective horsepower per ton, which is funky because it's exactly the same tank. And the IS-2 9045 has slightly better terrain resistance, but it traverses less quick. The camo is all the same again. And also, if you're looking at the repair cost, it is pretty much the same. You need to repair a bit more. You need to pay a bit more for your repair build when you're driving the Pravda, and a bit less when you drive the 9045, which is strange because the 9045 is obviously an older tank, and usually all the tanks require more maintenance. But this is a tank game that's not taken into account. But yeah, it is strange to see these little key differences. But the main thing in terms of key differences is the armor. It's not, as said, the gun. 400 alpha per shot, 461, good roll there by Carito on a VK3001P. But it's things like this. The IS-2 9045 is very troll, but the key differences are in the frontal armor. Because the Pravda has 20mm more in terms of frontal armor on the hull. The turret is pretty much the same. It seems to be rounded a bit differently. I can't really put a finger on it, because if you see them driving around, you shoot the cupola, shoot the cheeks, and you shoot the lower plate. But you can see that the front plate of the Pravda, that's basically a lower plate, and I actually would have gone for shooting that other tank, the VK, because that was a one-shot tank. Albeit the AMX 3075, that is maybe a bit of a more dangerous opponent with the autoloader, and this is kind of a, I would say, HE trolling. I would have shot AP, but yeah, shooting HE, getting shot in return, and then ramming is also a viable tactic, obviously. And Carito is going to clear this Tiger. It wasn't a VK, it was a Tiger, stock Tiger 1. But then he clears it, and he's going to do 4,300 damage, 2,755 blocked, as you can see. And it's a really, really healthy ace game. And it shows what the Pravda can do, it shows what the 1945 can do. We're going to take a quick look at the armor profile and armor inspector, and then we'll hop into a next game. To show you in terms of the armor profile, and actually sad they have a slightly different profile, but you can see this is me shooting the Pravda from the perspective of the IS-2 1945. You can see down there in the bottom of the screen. And this is the Pravda shooting the IS-2 1945. And it's, in my opinion, a bit strange because you can see it's the same frontal hull design, but different. Do you get what I'm saying? I mean, all the bits sticking out, that's just cannon fodder, just as loose stuff. Don't really know why it shows up like that. But this is the front of the 1945, and this is the front of the Pravda. 1945 Pravda, and you can see that it is just a little bit different. But this frontal hull has, as you can see, effectively 198, and if you're going to shoot the 1945, it's 227. If we're going to shoot it, no, we have to do it in a different way. We have to just look straight front, 188, and here we have 198. Why is that? Well, I'm going to show you. This plate is 122 millimeters thick, as you can see. That's the Pravda. You can see that's the Pravda. Then we're going to go back to the penetration values. I'm going to swap it around, and this is the 1945, and then we're going to go back to the X-ray and then show you. And this plate is 120, which is strange because apparently this is, I don't know. This says 120. In game it says 100. Maybe a little bit of a bug. But then again, when we had exactly the same angle shooting, it says I got 20 mils more of effective armor. I'm confused now. Oh well, it might be just a thing to wargaming that is a bit of a typo in the in-game information. Because to me it would be quite strange to have exactly the same hull, maybe on detail differences, but exactly the same hull, and have different types of armor value on these hulls. It would be really strange. Then again, wargaming have done strange things about stats on tanks, not being able to change certain stats because they were historical. So yeah, and they've done the same thing with the KV-1S and the Thunder. So yeah, let's take a look at the IS-2 Berlin then. IS-2 1945 in game, driven by the first from the N3TA clan, and he finds himself in a top tier match, as was Kirito. He finds himself in a top tier match at Castilla, and please take note of the tank destroyer on his team. You can see that this tank, the camouflage rating is just bad. It's maybe a medium tank behind a bush with a camouflage net fitted. You will get outspotted by other tanks like really quick, especially if you buy this tank or the Pravda as a new player and you don't have all the camouflage skills. These Soviet tanks, they hit hard, but they are really easily spotted. But if you can sit in a position like this, hello T-43, hi, have 438 through the side. It beats me why this guy decided to push forward into that little spot. He knew the IS-2 was here, and he brought some friends, and now you're sitting behind the building and you're going to get hammered because there's really no way that he can escape. Just wait for it. Patience. There we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom! At 430 through the side. But this is just the beginning. You can see that there's one tank down on both sides. It's just going to be a bit of a showdown here, a Mexican standoff. Nobody decides to go towards base B or C or even flank. And that's, in a way, good. Because I've covered this in the Pravda video. This tank does not really have brilliant armor. And I've covered that in the Thunder as well. Because the Thunder, the IS-2 Berlin, the Pravda, they are pretty much similar tanks, if not completely the same. Low DPM, good penetration values, a bit more on the Thunder than on this one, but that's just little bits. And yeah, if you're given time to reload, then this tank can punish you really hard. You can also see that the team is sort of melting. Reds are 3 tanks up, scores are 1 versus 3. Please take note of that ARL 339, who is providing the team with some very valuable, encouraging words and words of wisdom. They were whispered in my ear. And the first, decides to go up now, which is a good thing. Do not kill the one-shot VK28 or want to take a gun out of the game. Just go for the big damage on the victory. Then the T-3485 clears the VK. Yes, ram into the victory. He's getting chased by a Panther as well. But this is a Russian tank, guys. This is a Russian tank with a big gun with troll frontal armor, so you can now shoot that T-3485 and bounce a shot on the back of your turret. No problem whatsoever. You can see the gun was sticking in the back end of the turret. Maybe over the lower part of the turret didn't matter, so it was a little bit bounded there and then it bounced. But come on, it's a Panther with brilliant penetration, and it bounced on the back of a Russian tank. Enough said. That said, the first is handling this situation admirably. He kept that victory blocked in there, as you can see. He is not going to load H. He clears the Panther. And taking out a Russian tank like this in close quarters, that's a stupid thing to do. This was IS-2 Pravda gameplay, KV-1 Thunder gameplay, KV-1S regular IS-2 gameplay in a nutshell. If you have these tanks in close quarters where you can't really outcircle them, then the DPM is somewhat irrelevant because it has a big gun and 400 alpha damage. And he's still given the time to reload. And his team, the 2 remaining medium tanks on his team, they are a bit... well, they aren't that keen to push, because there's a KV-1S there, and there is a KV-3 who has a broken engine, who had broken tracks, who is using adrenaline and has now drowned. That's a lot of dead crew members. Yeah, but there's a KV-2 down there and a KV-1S, so the first, is being very, very cautious, and so is the Chiri on his team and the T-3485 on his team, because they all sat behind the bridge, had open ground to cover, had open ground to cross, and they couldn't really push, because if you push on a KV-2, I mean, the KV-2 can just sit and wait it out and let his gun stay pre-aimed on the bridge. And where is he? He's going to be on the left of the house. Oh, there he is. Hello. Hello. IS-2 noobs. Yes, ARLV39. We know how you feel, mate. We know how you feel. And we are pretty sure that the contribution that you made to the outcome of this battle will be really valuable. We are most certain about that. So this little smiley face, yes, well deserved. Really well deserved. 5k for the first in his IS-2 Berlin. Now we only have to look at what bundle to get, because we watched the IS-2 Berlin, we watched the Pravda. All we need to figure out now, which bundle is the best one. Well, it's a bit hard to compare, because you can't buy the IS-2 in a single bundle like you can do with the Pravda, as you can see. But this one will cost you €21.99. And you will get just a tank and a garage slot, and for that amount of money you could buy this bundle. 8,500 gold, €24.99. So a bit less, let's say it's about 7,500 gold, something like that. If we're then going to look at the offers here, 9,000 gold for the 3 Great Victors bundle, which gets you the Berlin tank, the IS-2 Berlin, and it has it fully unlocked. So in that regard, both of the tanks are pretty much the same, if not completely identical. And yeah, if you want to get just one tank, you would have to get the Pravda now, but it's a bit more expensive. This bundle may be the better one, all in all. But if you really have to choose between just Pravda or Berlin, I would get this bundle, because you can't really go wrong with the Cromwell Berlin, the IS-2 Berlin, and the T-34-85 Rudy. And I've covered all these tanks before on the channel, so do search for them, do search the name at martindoggerwotb behind, because there's a lot of these tanks available, reviews of these tanks available on my channel. And that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen, tankers of Blitz Universe. I'll catch you all on the next video. Cheers and happy tanking!